Hello and welcome. I am Gimba Umar. Tonight, Federal Bureau of Statistics declares Nigeria's economy officially in recession, with drop in oil prices and weaker currency cited as major reasons. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg visits information technology developers in Lagos, pledges to make internet more accessible across Africa. Nigeria's oldest airline, Aero Contractors Airlines, announces suspension of services from Thursday, September the 1st. And Brazil's Senate votes to impeach President Dilma Rousseff after finding her guilty of budget manipulation.
On Business News tonight, the Central Bank of Nigeria lifts suspension on 8 banks barred from participating in the forex market.
And on sports news tonight, English Premier League summer spending transfer surpasses £1 billion to set new record as window closes in a few hours.
And from Abuja, I'm Gloria Umezuki. Inspector General of Police orders police commands to dismantle all police roadblocks on highways across the country.
It's official. Figures coming from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that Nigeria's gross domestic product has shrunk by 2.06% in the second quarter of 2016. According to the report, the decline was caused by a weakened naira and lower oil prices, which dragged the oil sector down by 0.36% in the first quarter. During the quarter, nominal GDP was 2.73% higher at 23.48 million naira at basic prices. This growth was lower than the rate recorded in the second quarter of 2015 by 2.44%. During the period under review, oil production was estimated at 1.69 million barrels per day, and 0.42 million barrels per day lower than production in the first quarter of 2016. The Federal Executive Council has approved a roadmap for the growth and development of the Nigerian mining industry. The document, which outlines the contribution of mining to the gross domestic product, is set to be in line with the present administration's vision to diversify the economy away from oil. The Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, who joined the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, to brief State House correspondents, says that an independent agency to regulate the industry has also been approved.
Nigeria is a country blessed with human and natural resources. But hardly does any government in power tap into these resources fully, mainly because of what the experts call their overdependency on oil money. But the Buhari administration is fighting tooth and nail to turn the situation around using agriculture and solid minerals.
In the manner of what we've seen in the power sector, where you now have NERC, in the communication sector, where you have NCC, we're now going to have an independent regulatory agency in the mining sector. The second point that is very critical in the new roadmap is the partnership with states.
One of the legacies of the previous administration is the e-wallet used to check fraud in the distribution of fertilizer to farmers in the country. Council will fine-tune and adopt the method to monitor fertilizer distribution in Nigeria.
The program worked very well in 2012 and 2013. By 2014, it had a few hitches. We took memo to Council today to ask if we could extend the work of the cellular group for another year.
2 contracts were awarded in the Ministry of Education. The development of the library in the University of Lagos at the cost of 1.9 billion naira, and the international housing for international students in the University of Ibadan at 1.3 billion naira. The Federal Executive Council also approved the bill for the 2016 to 2018 external borrowing rolling plan.
Concessional loans, average interest rates 1.25%, 4 to 7 year moratorium, 20 years to pay, from agencies such as the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the China Exim Bank, and a number of development agencies like the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA.
Council said it will transmit the loan application to the National Assembly for passage into law. Chukwuma Onwekwusi, Channels Television News.
The founder and CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, has revealed plans by Facebook to make internet available at an affordable rate in Nigeria and Africa. Mr. Zuckerberg revealed these plans during a question and answer session with local developers in Lagos. He also stressed the pivotal role the internet can play in changing the economy and the lives of the people all over the world. Mr. Zuckerberg arrived in Nigeria unannounced yesterday and visited a few technology incubation centers in the Yaba area of Lagos State.
Aspiring tech entrepreneurs, big tech industry players and developers all gather in Lagos for a question and answer session with the CEO of tech giant Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. The director, Global Products and Partnership of the company sets the ball rolling after an opening address.
I would say it's a lot easier to answer that question clearly when you're standing right in front of me.
Zuckerberg, whose unannounced visit broke the internet, first talks about the reason for his visit.
Here in Lagos and across the continent, things are changing really quickly. I mean, the economy is shifting from a resource-based economy to an entrepreneurial and knowledge-based economy. And you guys are the ones who are leading that change. And not only remaking Lagos and Nigeria, but shaping the whole continent and influencing how things are going to work around the world for the next generation.
And then he reveals Facebook's future plans for urban and rural communities.
Those three steps, right, spreading access, lowering the cost, and spreading awareness are the key things. And if we do that, then my hope is in the next 10 or 15 years, we'll get the other half of the world that's not on the internet today on, and you'll have more ideas like Temi's, more people will be building stuff like that, and the world is just going to be a much better place.
The director, Global Products and Partnerships, then explains what informed the decision to obtain user data from a newly acquired company.
One of the policy changes that we made recently was all about trying to make sure that we could unlock the business to user connections that already exist, but do it in a way that's more robust so that more SMEs can actually find and leverage WhatsApp as a powerful platform for their businesses. So that was the trigger point. I think ultimately it's going to be really good for the continent. It's going to be really good for countries around the world. So I'm pretty excited about it.
This visit opens the tech floodgates for other companies to come into Nigeria. And what this means is that Nigerian entrepreneurs and tech developers will have much more opportunities and possibilities to create solutions to the myriad of challenges facing Nigeria, Africa, and the world at large. Victor Matthias, Channels Television News.
Reactions have started trailing the figures released by the National Bureau of Statistics. A cross-section of experts who spoke to Channels Television have divergent views on the implication of the latest figures and how soon the nation's economy can bounce back.
Nigeria's economy had been rumored to be in recession since the first quarter of the year, when the gross domestic product contracted by 0.36%. Today, the second quarter data from the Statistics Office was a full confirmation. GDP came in at a negative 2.06%, a level never seen in decades. The decline was led in the main by oil sector, finance and insurance, manufacturing and construction. 6 months into the new year, it's no longer news that Africa's largest economy was heading south. Theft and steady attacks on oil facilities by militants hit the main revenue source, and no thanks to widely volatile oil prices.
I'm sure many expected the second quarter to be in the region of maybe, the worst, let's say 1% decline, but we've not seen 2%. It shows that we have not stopped bleeding. And if you look at the unemployment figures as well, it went up dramatically to over 13%.
If you add the July inflation data released on Wednesday to the latest growth decline, it all points to one thing. 160 million Nigerians are living on the edge as they see their incomes shaved and disposable monies whittled by higher prices of goods and services.
And this is the message I give to my team continually, that consumers do not eat GDP. And let me explain a bit more. When things are tough, we have to respond to the changing behavior of consumers. And at the end of the day, people want to eat. They want tastier, healthier choices at cheaper prices. This is what the ideal world is. They want to have options that they can still feed families, that they can still feel that they are enjoying a meal without necessarily buying the same ingredients that they could have bought before.
But the Buhari's administration says the gloomy-looking second quarter report was, quote, a temporary decline. In a statement also released Wednesday from the office of the Vice President, Professor Yomi Oshibajo, the government points to agriculture, solid mineral. The VP office adds that as the administration's emphasis on capital expenditure begins to yield results and the investments increase, the growth of the domestic economy is likely to improve further. Economic analyst and Chief Executive Officer of Time Economics, Tilewa Adebajo, shares some of the government's optimism, but believes a lot is yet to be done.
So what it just tells us is that the government they need to be very serious on making sure that the budget for next year is ready on time. And I think that is the signal we're seeing by this medium-term economic framework.
The second half of 2016 is already 2 months down the line. The Buhari's administration has just 120 days more to deliver on its confidence statement today that the economy will perform and beat negative 1.8% GDP contraction predicted on July the 19th by the International Monetary Fund. Bosin Nomofaye, Channels Business News.
Aero Contractors Airlines has announced the suspension of scheduled service from Thursday, September the 1st, 2016. A statement from the airline signed by its Chief Executive Officer, Captain Fola Akinkotu, says that the decision is part of its strategic business realignment to reposition the airline to return to profitability. This decision, which comes on the heels of the current economic situation in the country, has forced some other airlines to suspend operations or outrightly pull out of the country. Aero says that it has faced grave challenges in the past 6 months, which impacted its business and, by extension, the scheduled services operations. Members of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, also known as Shiites, have held a protest in Abuja demanding the unconditional release of their leader, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaki. The group claims its members and leader are being subjected to what it calls an unwarranted and vicious attack by the Kaduna State government and security agencies. They took the peaceful protest through the streets of Abuja, terminating at the Federal Secretariat.
They should allow him access to any medical personnel or any medical center of his choice, any medical place of his choice. And that's why we are protesting to General Buhari and to President Buhari and General Burute to free our leader, because we know he is in their custody and they are the federal government. They have to free our leader.
In part two, after the break, there'll be more on Nigeria's GDP figures released by the National Bureau of Statistics. I'll be joined on the news at 10 by Mr. Bayo Rotimi, an economist, to shed more light on this. Join us again.